Azaleas pine trees. Here we are in Montana, our first view. This is on the road to Clancy. And a lot of tree cover, but you can see the size of the valley down through there. And we'll stop a few more times here before we're done.
The sun has finally come out on our vacation. And it's really nice out. A little hazy still, but you get the idea. Good grief, there's a lot of traffic on the road at the moment.
Two
That's
cars.
the third vehicle in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, we must be at rush hour.
And it smells like, the smell of pine is like pine sol or perfume in the air. It's incredible. I've never smelled anything quite like it.
Here we are about a couple hundred yards farther down. We're out of the trees now. Just kind of give a panorama of most of western Montana looks like. Back up here through the clouds coming over. Mountains off in the distances. Sun here, hopefully.
You need to come back up this way, dear.
I will in a second.
Trees are in your way.
That'd be for a nice little homestead down in the valley. Nice front yard there. Back to the road, let me move up a little bit and get a better view. Now, here we are a couple miles farther down the valley. Nice rock outcropping.
We've been driving along this great little stream in the canyon. The slopes going up on either side and some really neat houses. The rock outcroppings are pretty amazing. A lot of rocks with the pine trees growing right out of the rocks on the slopes.
Here's the same peak we had before, but now it's in the sun a little bit, so take it again and move around. This is all part of the same valley area, just about 10 miles across, going back through between the mountains. I don't know if you can hear it, but the sound in the background is the running creek that's been going through the whole valley also. This is the Marysville House in Marysville, Montana. This is Marysville House in Marysville, Montana. And we'll pan back, get some of the house here.
Say, dear, we're featuring crab legs from Mike Dick's restaurant in Chicago, which you can't do like this.
There's the proprietor, Steve.
Of course, I've only been there once.
And I don't know if you can see much, but it's Steve's restaurant. The kitchen consists of some Weber grills and some old-fashioned heaters. And he's got T-bone steak, he's got chicken, and some seafood platter, some crab legs, or some lobster, all made out on the grills. And Danny? Hey Danny, stop for a second there. So tell me, what do you get out here? What do you have after dinner?
Well, look, my marshmallows.
Marshmallows?
Okay, Bill, where you at? I got the chicken.
Wants his picture taken too.
You bet, marshmallows.
Yeah.
And you cook it in the fire. Marysville is an old mining town. We were just reading the sign. In 1890, they took out $60 million in gold out of this town, out of this area. That's in 1890s money. You can see. Area. Just pan around here. Very pretty area. It's about 6 miles up the mountain, up the valley, to get here. And it's about a mile below the ski area, also a mile below the Great Divide, Continental Divide, rather. You know, this is a section of right above Marysville. I guess this used to be Main Street. There's the front door of Marysville House. Yvonne thinks she's hiding.
I don't want to get in your film.
Now we're getting her best side.
No, my chance on camera.
There she is.
I didn't realize you were filming.
This is Frontier Town, which is a place a gentleman built. As you can see, it's a fort. It's not a real fort, but it's a tourist type place, but it has good food, good restaurant. Let's see if I can get past the trucks here to give us a view out the valley. And look at those folks. Dan's not going to wave. This is the view from the restaurant.
Mommy, I scared fly away. I scared fly away. Yeah. Bam, go away, fly.
Put that down. Daniel.
I want to get that fly.
Well, you can't get him like that. You'll break it.
This place is actually a museum of Montana artifacts, and that's the large part. There's a big Indian there.
Go away, fly.
This is on McDonald's Pass, right on the Great Divide. Where we're looking down to it into the valley, the far valley with the haze, is where Helena, Montana is. And just pan around on this side. You can see back down in there is where we were last night for supper. Can't see much of it. But it's some real pretty country out through here. I'm going to be saying that till we're sick of it on this tape. Hi.
Hi.
Do you like the mountains? Where'd you eat yesterday? This is the other side of McDonald's Pass. And as far as I can tell, we're going to be heading up in that direction, up into the mountains that way. We're about halfway up to Glacier Park here. Just a pull off along the road. We're just north of Lake Seeley. Oops, hopefully that'll. Right, there we go. You can see some snow-covered peaks still up there. Driving for the last 45 minutes through a fairly narrow valley down this way, back this way.
Daddy,
A horn is something that sticks up. It's kind of a three-sided mountaintop, and it's real jagged. And in between those, you'll see there's, I don't know if you can see that far, but there's a waterfall, and there's three main waterfalls.
look through the camera.
Just a second, Dan. This is at Lake McDonald.
Through the camera
To the
there.
left, and then you go about 6 miles up, and it's on the right-hand side of the road.
6 miles is probably.
And that's the lake that you'll see. Really pretty blue, deep sea green watercolor.
This is up on Logan's Pass in Glacier National Park.
No, we're not to Logan's Pass yet.
Well, we're short of it, but we're on the way on the road to the sun. We pan down here, you can see the river running through the valley. I have this on as wide as it goes right now.
You can see the road going all the way through there. Catch the road.
There's the valley we just came up. I guess I gotta get going here. Shirley tells me I'm not out of the road and cars are stopping. A little farther up the road, still heading towards Logan's Pass. We haven't reached it yet. I thought it worth pulling off to take a look at this waterfall here. Back here.
Binoculars. Tell them about
Now we just went past a waterfall probably about that size, but there's no way we could get an angle on it. So we kept driving. And here we are another 100 yards farther up and around the next bend. When I asked if they had pull-offs, they said the problem was you got too many. And every time you turn around, there's a better sight. It's coming down, gathering all the snow off the peak. You end up with this waterfall. It continues all the way down. Turn around and make sure I don't go off the edge.
Say hi to Daddy. No, I'm not. Say hi to Daddy.
And who's this little guy? Can you wave? I think we got a tired little guy who wants to run. Hey, Paul, this way. Hi, Paul. Not even a wave? You found something to eat. Lunch. This section is called the Garden Wall. We're just about at the top, coming up on Logan Pass. You see the road going along there. all the way down. Pan down, you can see we're quite a ways up here. We're now on the other side of Logan's Pass, so we're on the eastern side of the Continental Divide. And right up there is the visitor center at the top of the pass. We walked quite a ways up. I don't know if you can see the path going up there through the snow. We walked quite a ways up that path. And all through this area here is a gorgeous high meadow full of yellow flowers. Really pretty. And as you can see, it's quite a valley cutting down through here. And I'll just pan along. Again, just going up and down here. This is the opposite side of Logan Pass. This is an amazing, amazing park, I have to admit. And you can see the road heading down. Shirlene looking for grizzlies flying through the air. What we're looking at out here is Jackson Glacier. This is the first glacier we've seen since we've entered the park. Oops, better back off here. There we go, Jackson Glacier. Talks about. There we go. So we've seen our first glacier now. This is Sunrift Gorge, Sunrift Gorge. Down here, heads on down, now back. I'll take a picture from the road here in a second. From the road, you can see how close we are to just a walk up. If you can see this or not, I'm holding it out away from my body. But we're just right underneath the road now, just going under the bridge. I'll bring it back to my shoulder. Oops. And you can see it just cuts down again. And then goes under the bridge. And Danny better be over there somewhere. There he is, getting in trouble. This is St. Mary's Lake. We've been driving along it for several miles now. This is really the first good glimpse we've had. Most of the time it looks just like this. Zooming back, you can see we're still along mountain high peaks. Still going back through. That pass way back there was the Jackson Glacier. And again, more and more peaks that are just awe-inspiring. Now with beautiful lakes alongside of them. St. Mary's runs for a good 10-15 miles farther down, so I'm sure we'll get more pictures of this as we go. I said if we just waited a little bit, I'd get a better picture of this lake. St. Mary's Lake is 9.9 miles long. And I think we're about 2/3 of the way, or rather 1/3 of the way down it. This looks back up where we are. We've gone another quarter mile maybe down the road from where I stopped last time. There's some tourists again. Hey Dan. You having fun?
Now he is. He's not too tired. Shoot the lake now.
I hope some of the color comes through on this, because this is a richly blue lake. Again, with all sorts of peaks and mountains alongside. And just so you don't think, the other side of the road is also pretty impressive going up the hill here.
289 feet deep and 9.9 miles long. Did you put that on?
Yeah. We're in Canada now, overlooking Waterton Lakes National Forest, National Park. A little hazy, but when I come through here this evening, back through here, it's going to be, sun will be on the western side, so this will be pretty dark, so we'll get our photos now. This is the lodge at Waterton, sitting out. These are the docks here. We're getting ready to board a ship in about 20 minutes. Take a tour. Just pan around here. I'll get some more trips, but you can see it's sitting right in the middle of a big valley, looking back towards town. Another ugly scene on the trip, I guess.
Like that. Going on is strictly a backcountry ranger station, that's all it is.
This is the start of the boat ride from Waterton. Look over to the shore. Hazy today, but still a beautiful shot. Just panning back.
The lake that we're traveling on now is called Upper Waterton Lake. Now, this is the largest in a chain of 3 lakes that we have in this park. Just to your left side, you're looking in through the Bosphorus Narrows into Middlewood. Once you come to the end of that tunnel, you think it's all over, but really it's just begun. Because now you must stand up and put your pack back on and proceed around the edge of a cliff, holding on to a cable that's embedded in the cliff wall and walking on a ledge about 2.5 to 3 feet wide. Now looking down below you about 800 or 900 feet upon the valley floor, you can get an excellent view from there. And back in 1981, probably because of these obstacles and the scenery up there, Crypt Lake was rated as Canada's #1 hike, this in terms of scenery and popularity. Still in Waterton Park, it is the most popular hike today. I don't call it the most scenic hike. There is 113 miles of trails in Waterton Park, and you can't compare the scenery on one hike to another. Everything is very, very beautiful around here. So if you're interested in getting out in the backcountry, maybe do a hike, you can go up to Crypt Lake, or check out any of the hikes. If you want a moderate hike, go up to the Tourist Information Bureau, and they will help you out and direct you to a hike that's more suitable to your style. If you want to go to Crypt Lake, there's a little deal for you. Because you took the boat ride, you can get the fare over to Crypt Lake for half price. Miles, clear-cut forest. Why do they have to do this? Okay, mainly just to mark where the border lies. In the 1860s, a boundary survey crew was sent through this area. These guys were responsible for naming a lot of the mountains in this area. Mount Boswell across the lake there was named after one of the leaders of that expedition. They place markers here, and there is an original survey marker coming up on your right side when you get a view of the cut line here. In the foreground, there's a concrete marker placed there in the early 1900s. And when you have these two markers lined up, you'll be looking directly up the international border in the 49th parallel of latitude.
Concrete borders there. And let go.
Peaks in the background are the Citadel peaks. Catching a bit of a breeze here and rocking back and forth.
And we do have your check. That's pretty bad. That's gross.
Like last year,
Any questions at all? I need some questions here. I'm starting to psychobabble. You guys know what that is? I don't. Okay, this lady is noticing a lot of waterfalls around the lake. A lot of these falls right now are melting last year's snowfall. I mean, we didn't have much snow last year, so they won't be lasting too much longer. We call them school teacher creeks. Yes, because they babble all winter and dry up in the summertime. All the snow that you're seeing around, right, that's Indian snow.
So looking back towards Waterton.
That's enough of that, right?
I bet the grandchild appreciate that too.
Nice snow-covered peak in the distance here as we go around. Get ready to go around the bend in the river. Yeah, it's a pretty hazy day. Man just told us these small patches of snow are called Indian snow. Apache here, Apache there.
Snowfields up there, typical example of how this lake is fed. That snowfield will drain down into Lake Janet, eventually into Lake Francis, and that will drain down into the Waterton River and eventually flow into this lake just up ahead of us here. We're on the east side of the Continental Divide here, so where does the water go from here? Okay, it melts off the mountains, snow form into water, comes down into this lake. From here we'll go into the Waterton River at the other end, right, draining out eventually through the Waterton Dam into the Old Man River. Okay, Old Man River will flow into the Bow River. The Bow River will flow into the South Saskatchewan River. Okay, and that flows across the continent into the Hudson Bay in the Atlantic Ocean. That's where all this water will end up sooner or later. We're going to be landing at the south end of the lake here in just a few moments. I have to give you a little orientation on the area before we land. This is Goat Hunt, Montana. There is a visitor center. There are washroom facilities. There's a drinking fountain. If you really want to try the water here. Okay? This is the cleanest, sweetest water you will find anywhere. Great.
So on the trip back going towards Watertown, away from the U.S. We're still in the United States at this point.
The definition of a glacier is a moving mass of ice and snow. If you look that up in the dictionary, that's exactly what it says. So it has to be moving to be considered a glacier. Once they stop moving, we no longer call them glaciers, but rather snowfields. The only way to find out if they're moving is to go and do a geological survey or study on the glaciers. They did that at the turn of the century.
we're back in the harbor here at looking at the hotel. All along. Apparently, I don't know if you can see them back there. The deer are very common. Apparently them and large rams just come straight into town all the time. About a month back there were more animals in this town than there were humans. It was actually getting to be a problem when they started annoying people and begging for food. Back again. It's on all sides, just sitting much some very steep slopes. There's Paul doing what he likes to do best, run, run, run. Hey, Paul! Hey, Paul! Paul! You wave?
No, I'm not letting go of his hand. You better not let go.
Paul wants to go in the water. Desperately. And Dan's kind of sacked out here. Oh, you're awake, Dan. Say hi. No. There's the boat we were on. Just took a 2-hour cruise, half-hour stop at the end. Went all the way down the length of the harbor and back. And there's looking back into town. Again. And back so you can see the peaks. Said that there's a path leading up to this first hill here, and the longest anyone's ever took to climb it was last year. A gentleman took 5 hours, but he was 92 years old. It only takes a little over half an hour, but it's a steep climb. So we'll just pan back, watch the boat come in. Fishing out there. Oh, I see what they're doing. And finished with a shot of the hotel again. It's trying to feed the deer even though they're not supposed to. This is about a 10-mile drive for Waterton Lakes, so we'll take a look and see what's here at this lake. See the waterfalls in there from all the snow drainage. Quite an area here, has all the little boats for rent. That's the lake where we started. So we're probably 3/4 of the way back down. And down there is the river where we were just at, looking at the
Cameron Creek.
waterfall, Cameron Creek.
Yeah.
Then the rock.
Charlene says I need to film flowers. These are purple flowers. It's just the side of the hill here. But all through here are a lot of mountain flowers that are really pretty. Seems like every 50 feet or so we get a better view, so it's easier to take the extra pictures than to stop and come back a year from now. From this angle you can see the city of Waterton. And the obligatory picture of the hotel one more time. So not looking over the city and over the bay. I'm standing about 10 feet away from where we're eating out on the sidewalk restaurant here. Car go by. This is a young bighorn sheep. Eventually a full-grown one will have the full curved horns. You were saying deer and sheep are real common in this town. If I just pan down and look down the street past that biker, there's a deer down there. Someone must have spilled a Coke or something. The lobby of the Prince of Wales. I'm not going to get much of this, I'm afraid. We'll try. Raise up. And that's into the restaurant area. And there's the view going out the front window. Paul likes the place because it echoes a little bit. Last shot here before we head back.
Mommy, let me go back.
Mm-hmm. Here's the town.
It's the road up to Cameron Lake.
Right up through that valley. Heading up towards Cameron Lake.
Did you see the marmoset go across the grass? I did. There he goes. And he's standing up. Whoop. He's standing up right there. Whoop. I guess his camera shot. There's another one.
As the tour guide pointed out, you need to keep in mind that this was all built at a time when they had only hand tools, no power tools.
1920s, I think.
1920s, that's correct.
1926.
Paul likes it. This is called Chief Mountain. It's on the way between Waterton and heading back towards Glacier. We've just crossed the border into the United States. It's just this huge cliff sitting up there. This is the setting at Mini Glacier Lodge. I'm bouncing, it's a little windy up here. And this is the view from the front door of the lake, or the Mini Glacier Lodge rather. Yeah, it's real windy, and that's the sound you're hearing. Charlene trying to put suntan block on the kids. About to go on a boat trip here for a couple hours, so I'm sure we'll have some pictures to take along the trip. The face of mountains up behind here is the same face that we're looking at from the other side on the road to the sun.
I think possibly that was in the fall when they moved it out.
Yeah, let's get that.
They wasted up the creek. 4 or 5 days. That's how they got this one.
That is Salamander Glacier, the largest in Glacier Park. See the head up on the left. It looks like a long tail. Below it, what looks just like a streak is Grinnell Glacier. The two used to be connected. So its depth reaches well over 300 feet in the middle. Although they are melting rapidly through the 80s and into the 90s so far.
Looks like gray-green gravel. That's the tailings from the Josephine mine. you were standing on top of that pile of gravel, you'd be looking right into the mine shaft of the Josephine mine. And they were looking for copper. They found some copper. It's a mineral called chrysocolla. It is a copper indicator, but I guess fortunately for all of us enjoying this as a national park, it wasn't high enough percentage to make it worthwhile.
It's Dan's version of skipping stones. You throw more than one, it'll make several bounces. He calls it skipping.
Several hundred people, maybe 1,000, just a mile or two below the hotel. It's called Alton. And so there's a big mine on top of Cracker Lake also. There were some investors. We got some people here from Michigan. I noticed there was a big corporation called the Michigan and Montana Mining Corporation was formed, and they sold shares to these mines. And probably shortly after that, they got on their ponies and rode out of town. I don't know if they're from Michigan or not. There was definitely shares.
For the return trip, I won't say a whole lot, but feel free to ask questions and get up and move around and take pictures. If you have anything you'd like to know, I'm at least as smart as Bob, who just got off, so you can try to stump me.
Ranger was saying these areas through here where there's sparsely covered trees are full of huckleberries. In that late summer when the huckleberries are ripe, you'll see a lot of bear come down and feed down through here. Waterfalls coming up here. See how far up it reaches. Roll up into there. Coming up through the valley up above. All the way down to the lake.
Anybody actually up to their shoulders?
I don't think Bob mentioned the new shingles on the roof of the hotel. I don't believe he did. He talked about the high winds that we get here that make that slope ahead of us suitable for the wintering range for the bighorn sheep. And an example of a high wind that's very convenient is the new roof on the hotel. November last year, after everybody was gone, they were shuttering up the hotel and doing
Hotel where we're staying is right back across the lake and probably couple 100 yards in that direction.
Here's a pretty good angle on Many Glacier Hotel from the path that loops around Swift Current Lake. We're just a little bit ways up around, maybe a quarter of the way around from the hotel. Pretty, isn't it?
The Swift Current stream standing on the bridge on the walk around the lake. Paul and Dan are both being a pill.
Danny, wait.
And then back out here you can see it
Let me pass.
flow out into the lake. What's the matter, Paul? This is from the far side of Swift Current Lake. Pan back and you can see where the setting on the other side of the lake.
Film the trail and us.
You see what we've known as walked all the way around the lake. There's the boat that we rode on earlier, taking the 4 o'clock. It's about 4:15 right now. We walked all the way around the lake. It pans up and back and walks around. You can see the Swift Current River walking out. And we'll be finishing on this side of the lake, cruising along, walking through.
Wave to Daddy.
You wave, Paul?
Say hi, Daddy.
Paul's tired and
Yeah.
Dan's being worse.
Yuck. Go away. Okay.
Right in the water.
Hey, Paul, you throwing sticks in the water?
Who's it?
Yeah?
Get my good side.
You don't say.
Somebody needs a cross.
In a second.
Hi.
Which way are you walking?
Back this way.
Have you come from the other end?
We came from the hotel.
Well, you walked this way. We're walking that way, yeah.
Don't try it with the stroller. These little guys are everywhere. A few minutes ago, one of them standing right next to Paul. Thought it was great. And who's still having a good time here? pictures of my baby. Hi, baby. Look at mommy. Say hi. Hi. He loves the sticks and stones and the water. Cooperative of the afternoon. Sacked out under the pine tree.
Paul playing with the marmosets. He's got them chased down their hole right now. Paul, stay back. Paul?
Come here.
That's right. He's gonna walk right down that hole. What's that?
Come on back here. Let's watch for him to come out. Let's watch.
Really?
Coming up within 2 or 3 feet. He's cute, huh? Come here. Now he went way over there.
Well, there's the door to our cottage. Your basic 1950s motel. At least the one on this end. At least
That's enough. Breakfast will be over with.
the view around is very nice at least. You can look up the mountains on that side. Spin around here in the trees. Go up the mountains on that side. The other day a bunch of people were standing outside watching the mountain sheep. The ones with the fully curved horns. This is the lobby of the East Glacier Hotel. These trees are all 700 to 800 years old when they were cut 100 years ago. The walkway straight from the lobby of the East Glacier Hotel. We're looking right across at the train station. Some of the first people to open up the park was the Burlington Northern Railroad. Built tracks all the way out here on this side and then another set on the other side of the park, and had camps arranged 1 horse rides distance apart for a day, and you'd have people ride to each camp and work their way across the park. So this was one of the original huge hotels, and as soon as the bus behind me leaves I'll get a picture turning around.
This one's a lot more Western and not as European. Lodge, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. is the side lodge. I don't know
Is
if
that
that-
part of the course across the street over there?
and it connects to the main lodge up there
We have a long wait.
with the bus right in front of there.
Bus leaves.
I don't know if the bus is going to leave, so we'll just take this shot. Maybe from the car we'll get another shot. This is Two Medicine Lake. Being afternoon, we're a little bit into the sun here. It's kind of tough to see. The waterfall area
Quite a
going
ways
up.
back through there, too. I'm gonna walk over to the shop store over here
Okay.
when I come back.
It's a campground way on the southeast side of the lake. We've just left East Glacier Lodge, about 10 miles away. This area is just below Two Medicine River. Slightly different view of the same area. Get a little bit over for them past the trees. Here's our destination. Is it Running Eagle?
Running Eagle, yeah.
Running Eagle Falls used to be called Trick Falls. And they say at the peak you can't even see the second lower waterfalls. And at the lowest point, the top one's shut off completely. But if you look back, and look along here where we are, excuse me for spanning so fast here, look back this way, you can see we're pretty much at low tide here. This is all part of a riverbed. There's a little bridge we're going to have to go across in a minute. And I'm sure in the spring when snow melts at its peak, this is all underwater, this whole area here. Try this again with it backed up a little bit easier to see. Paul likes it, he's having fun out here. This is the bridge we get to cross here. Sure, a real permanent facility. Something they replace every spring, I imagine. There's Danny. He just crossed the bridge. He's an expert at this. Dan's discovered how to skip stones. I told him he count the splashes. He throws 2 stones at once. Says he skipped them.
No, stay here behind the fence. Come on. Wanna look through the binoculars?
Probably about 300 yards away from being done with this walk, maybe 400 yards, and it looks like that's all the farther Dan made it. He's looking for little bugs, he says, and having a good time. Hey, Dan.
Now that we're about ready to leave the park, he's decided that maybe hiking isn't so bad. If it's short and flat.
Really? Well, it's late afternoon here. In fact, it's about 5:30. So I don't know. A lot of this is in shadow, so I don't know how much is going to show up, but I'm sure it's a pretty valley, so I thought I'd stop and take it. This is lower to Medicine Lake. We were up above this just before. This is actually outside the park.
Okay. Put it down the line.
And that peninsula was originally one of the lodges. It was, in fact, one of the original men to come into the park built his house there. The lodge itself was across the river, across the lake from there.
Wow.
I got that.
This is Little Chief Mountain.
I'm going back up the deal on.
Well, lots of one wow.
And I'll go back.
Okay, it's still pretty neat.
Because there's another.
Falls look pretty. Did you do the zoom on the falls? Do a
Not
zoom
yet.
on the falls, because they're pretty good in the binocs. They ought to be good in the telephone.
Down these are warm steps. Oh, there's
Drainage from the
the
snow caps above.
bear. Hurry up. The warm steps. There's bear hurry down the hill.
Where's the just here? Close one.
Danny climbed all the way up the hill on his own. Hey, Dan.
I haven't seen one all week. I really want to see. We finally saw bear last night. Oh, really? It was way up on the mountainside. Everybody was looking. It was over at Many Glacier.
You say hi?
Today I'm coming up the alarm steps. I'm coming
Jackson Glacier, one of the largest, if not the largest in the park. Back on the road to the sun, still on the eastern side. This is at a wide angle, so this is a pretty big valley through here. Straight down, you can see the glacier has just carved out a big U. All those hanging valleys just hang off in between the mountains. See a couple of different waterfalls cutting down through there.
There's one up here on the side of the peak on the other side of the road here if you go all the way around.
Windy here. The Hanging Gardens.
The peak is Mount Clements. And the other sharp peak to the left is Citadel, I believe. And this is Heavy Runner to the left. And Pagan Mountain behind us.
Hanging Gardens is right behind the halfway house at Logan's Pass. I think we've taken this shot from before. Yeah, it's right there. You can walk up through there, around to the side and up over and see Hidden Lake. And then up here is Pagan Mountain. Look straight up the mountain here. Going up around the cliffs. These valleys, they say, are where grizzlies like to hold out. If you look right up here, you can see an avalanche chute. Sticks and gravel been forced down. Come right back past the car and follow straight on down the mountain. The ruts you see on all the different mountains. Down in there are all different avalanche chutes. We're above Logan Pass at the halfway house. It's called the Hanging Gardens Valley. And there's where we're going to try for. All the way on up there, across the ice, over to those trees, way out there. We'll see.
Start again. Ready? Daniel, you're supposed to be resting. Not wandering around. How about if Dad?
Snow is considerably less than it was even last week Sunday when we came through here. You can see the down through there, the road that we're going to be following. It's a long ways down from there.
Wind it up, Daddy.
And we've gone this far so far, including all these steps. I think it puts us maybe a third of the way there, maybe a little less. Here's the first mountain goat we've seen. I assume we'll see some more, probably closer. See, there's a whole herd of them up here.
Oh, Martin.
We've gotten a lot farther up at least now. Still looking at the same hanging garden area. This area is huge. I would suspect we've gone well over a mile. Had to walk through these ice paths here. Zoom up here, there's the mountain goat we were looking at. There he is. See, not quite as big as a cow, but almost. And swinging back here, where's our path? Hard to tell. There it is. Just wind down across the ice path. Around the corner, you see the people out there. And that's the start of all the stairways. And the boardwalk is way over there. And you head all the way back down to the cabin, way back there. Like I said, we've covered a good ways of the hike so far, and we've probably got another 300-400 yards to go. Well, we're 100 yards farther up the path. Definitely time for another photo. Catch my breath again. You can see St. Mary's Lake down there in the distance. See, we've come a long ways. It's a badger cutting across there, we think.
He's a different color.
Above the trees.
In case they fell in the snow and it was really deep and they needed to get out or something.
There's a line of trees. Found this pretty little open area. All these pine trees all the way up this little valley here. All these pine trees are only about 10 feet tall. If that, maybe 8, 9 feet. Another hanging valley behind there. We've reached Hidden Lake. How far a walk was it, Shirlene?
Oh no, too far. Mile and a half?
Something like that. All uphill, so at least the walk back will be easier. Paul just woke up. He slept most of the way.
Mile and a half. Dan, you're gonna break those or drop them? No.
I want them up
Close.
there.
Yes. Oh no, sweetie, it's bright. You don't have any hair. Where are your hair?
Because then I don't want to look at the anymore, Daddy.
Good. Just leave them where they are then.
Me? Dan, you wanna come with me?
No, I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna
There goes Mom and Paul across the snowfields. Come on, Dan. Yeah, that's your rock. You want me to carry your visor or you want to put it on?
I need my
Okay, let's walk to the snow and then I'll pick you up. Yeah, I see it. Just walk to the snow and then I'll pick you up. Come on. See those mountain goats? We gotta get over by them.
I don't want to go by the man.
Well, I do. Come on.
Thirsty?
There's a mountain goat about 15, 20 feet away from me here.
Are you thirsty, Mango? Are you thirsty, Mango?
You do that. This is the light right here. No, it's not the light.
I'm gonna sit down on it.
Oh, this is the light. That's not the light. Take down the poles and no one will look at you.
Don't go by Mommy.
Different mountain goat another 20 yards down. Go ahead, Dan, but go by Mommy. Some of the same valley with the two ponds. bumping is a combination of flies and mosquitoes.
Come now, Russ, and leave me. I could touch. I could touch. I went all the way up here, and I can't watch.
This is Flathead Lake. We've been driving along it for about 10, 11 miles now. Looking across all this on the far side is Indian reservation country. Most of this lake is part of the Indian reservation. Barely see on the far side some of the rolling hills and the foothills. It's on the western side. There's another view of the Flathead. We can look a little bit farther back. You can just barely see the far shoreline through the haze. Well, we're in a national bison refuge. On a 19-mile drive, we've driven about 3 or 4 miles, maybe 5 miles of it. And we've seen one at a distance. And this guy. Down in the plains, we saw a small herd, maybe 15, 20 of them. Somewhere in this 30-mile area is 400 bison, several hundred elk. We're also at midday, when most of them are trying to lay down in the shade, we're told. So I doubt we're going to see large numbers of them, but we'll see some, and it's a pretty drive. Pan out here and see some of the scenery.
Oh, there's two. You see him, Dad? You see those big animals, Paul? You see him? Are you?
And back there's the Flathead River.
Oh, look out. You want by?
And there's one.
I'm gonna give the buffalo some rocks to eat. Here you go, buffaloes. There.
Yeah, someone's over here. There's the other one.
I already got you.
Just looking back at the Mission Mountains. Back up towards Flathead Lake, which you can't see through the haze.
Here, Mommy, won't you have my apple?
Looking down, there's the road we're going to be taking in just a few minutes.
Be careful, baby.
One herd of bison down there. Can't see it very well, but
Come on, little.
Really be careful.
away from the car fumes here. We're probably about 50 feet from this guy, and he just keeps on coming. Nice of him to pose for us like this. She's on the Gates of the Mountain tour now. There's an osprey up here.
He's a very aggressive bird. Every once in a while you'll see him chasing away a bald eagle. To the right, you see a sign over here called. So we have these city wildlife. Right now we look like you touch the imagination. You look straight ahead of it. You see the old wooden snag of the tree. Got the little limbs up the side. Top the cliff up there. And if you make your way down to the right, you'll see about 15 feet down a piece of green sagebrush. Another 10 feet down, you see another piece of green sagebrush. And that's what we call the curly hair. Okay, you make your way down a little bit farther and you're going to see a big nose, a big lips, and a chin. And we call this the old man of the canyon. Okay, once again, the wooden snag. First piece of green sagebrush, the second piece of green sagebrush. Okay, as we pull up, it'll be more distinct. Anybody have them yet? The green hair, the big nose, the big lips, and a big chin.
These are the gates closing on the Gates of the Mountains. There ends up looking like just one